Hello, Devlin Bishop here with you, and welcome to this week's edition of the Devlin Bishop Show. I hope you're doing all great. I hope you're here to have a great, fun, nostalgic show. Grab yourself a snack, some beverages. I will grab Corda because I need her because I am technically not capable of doing this on my own. How are you today, Corda?
Pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I'm good. I've accomplished a lot today, which is good. That means that once we're finished this, I can just take it easy. But I like to do all my Mondo nostalgia stuff for the future, like early in the morning. I like to get that out of the way and stuff. So
Mm.
I did a lot today, so I was impressed because some days I wake up like, you know how you wake up with the energy and you want to do it, and then some days just that, yeah, that's not
Yeah.
happening.
Oh, sorry. I think there was some lag there.
Anyhow, we do have a guest today, but before we bring him in, I want to let everyone know that we seem to be having some kind of, yeah, we're having a little bit of a lag issue today. So we're going to try our best. So please be patient with us. It still should be a lot of fun. We are definitely going to get to live up our Mondo nostalgia name today because, well, I don't have any really set things to talk about. But since we did the very successful, and thank you if you came to the 1970s Time Warp, it was so successful. We are definitely going to do other eras and probably go back to the 70s again because there's just so much stuff I wanted that I didn't even get into the 2 hours. And I remind you, you can go to the YouTube channel after you're done here, and you can go to the Mondo Nostalgia YouTube, and you can actually watch the 2 hour playlist if you couldn't make it when we had the watch party live.
Mhm.
And it is still a lot of fun. You can put it in the background while you do some chores or just have fun, whether you live the 70s or always kind of wished you did. It's just 2 hours of that. And yeah, definitely. But while I was putting it together, I was actually brought up in the 70s. I was pretty young. I was born in 1968. So I grew up quite a lot in it, but I was a baby for a lot of it. But it made me remember stuff, and that's great because my guest probably is one of the few people who knew me back in those days. Because most of my friends, that I keep track of are probably from the 80s, 90s, and stuff. But there is one person who probably knows me a little bit differently than everyone else because he knew me from day one, and that is my brother Paul. Paul Bishop is here with us, and we're going to do some brother talking and some old school reminiscing about growing up in the 70s and 80s. So, Cordy is going to actually disappear for this, not because she's found a way to get off the show, but because the lag is so bad.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll disappear. I'll bring Paul in.
All right, so this is magic now.
Yeah.
Corda will be leaving, and in her place, will be my brother, Paul Bishop, if she can figure it out without giggling so much. I will take a drink on that. There he is. Oh,
Oh,
ooh.
oh, sorry.
Do you,
I didn't know we were ready. I was getting ready for my online ordering.
yes, getting your lunch prepared, or
Yeah, LCBO.
yeah. No, I saw that. Do you actually order from there, or do you pick it up, or
No,
what do you do?
no.
No.
Everyone's talked about how much you probably drink since you've been in quarantine, but you know what? I think I've cut back, so that's a good thing. So, how are you doing today, Devlin?
Well, yeah, that's a good way to start things. I'm doing good. I warned everybody
Yeah,
we have a bit of a lag
you
today,
froze.
but yeah, you froze too. So I guess it's weird when you freeze on your side, but you see me freeze, but I see you freeze. But I think we're good now. So
Okay,
yeah,
fingers
they
crossed.
say there's probably going to be a lot of alcoholics created through the pandemic. I'm actually surprised I haven't gained a lot
Yeah.
of weight through it because this is a great time to snack. And I have to really fight myself because sometimes when I'm watching TV, I just feel the urge to put something in my mouth. But I've actually not. I've lost a little bit of weight and I've kept it off too. And the last time I went into the doctor for a blood test, they actually said everything was the best they've seen it in years. So I'm hoping to
Oh,
keep
that's
that off.
great.
I've been doing really crazy walks. The other day, I literally walked from my place in Stony Creek all the way downtown. It took me 2 hours, and I felt it.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's something I need to do more, is walking.
So what have you been doing to keep sane? Now, you've been off since March. You didn't even go back to work when we came back, right?
No, this is the longest March break I've ever had. I haven't been doing much really.
Did you start any new
Lot of
hobbies or anything?
Oh no, I caught up on my sleep. I know everything about CNN and CP24. Other than that, no, I haven't really been doing much.
Do you see going back anytime soon, or is it all depending on the lockdown right now?
Yeah, the lockdown's got a lot to do with it, but if they don't increase, like when they go back, if they go back to the 50 people limit, no, I don't see that I'm going to be going back anytime soon. Maybe end of summer, early fall. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the projection of where people are hoping that we'll be back. Not fully, but
I'll have to, yeah, but I'll have to be a Walmart greeter or a Costco greeter before that, so.
Yeah, it must be tough on you in that. Now, I don't know, are we allowed to mention your occupation? That's why I've been playing Stom, not like you're super agent or anything.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
You can say where you work, I guess.
Okay, well, I work at the Elements Casino in Brantford.
Yeah, I just
And I'm a
didn't know. I
table
didn't
game
know
supervisor. Yeah. Yeah,
And
if they do,
what I was,
well, what are they going to do? Fire me?
and this is one of those weird cases because you actually, this is like a dream job for you, and you later in life decided to try going for it, and you got it.
Yeah, well, I worked with Grandin Toy for 30 years, and I've always wanted to work in a casino. So when the opportunity came up as a part-time casino dealer, I thought I'd go for it, but little did I know that part-time was just only 3 or 4 days a week, like full days. I was hoping that I could work like 4 hours a day and sneak it in, but then I had to make the decision, and I decided to go with my heart, and I stayed at the casino.
And honestly,
Very
I was
less
very
stress.
proud that you, I was very proud of you for taking the chance, because it's not easy to just change your direction so late in life. But I really glad you did, because, you know, of course we couldn't perceive what would happen with
Not after
this.
30 years, yeah. But yeah,
Now,
you never knew that this was going to come up. So go ahead, sorry.
no, not a problem. We're still working out the lag a little bit here. I just got to remember I talk a lot, so. Now, I wanted to talk to you. You actually were at the Time Warp watch party, and did you have a good time?
Had a great time. You brought back a lot of memories. A lot of songs I hadn't heard before, or in a while. One I hadn't heard before. But no, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really hope to do more of them. I want to conquer maybe the 80s, the 60s, the 90s even, because the 90s, sad to say, is nostalgic now.
Yes. Actually, I would like to get to any of the ones later, because I really lost track after about the 90s. So I wouldn't mind seeing the 2000s and 2010s.
Yeah, I've always kind of stayed with music. I always remembered what Dick Clark said, and he said that there's great music that comes out of every era. So when you listen to my playlist, I can go back to the big band era. I can play disco. I can play rock. I can play 80s. But I always, every month, I look for new music just to see what's out there.
And there is a lot of good music out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you eliminate the
and
rap.
I like very little rap. Happy rap is good. I don't mind when it makes an appearance at a pop song or something. But yeah, and I like a lot of different styles of music, and you actually played a big part in a lot of the music I had growing up.
Yeah, I liked music when, well, I guess my music infatuation started very young, like when we were in Germany in 1970. I mean, you did either listen to records, if anyone remembers those things, or you watch the TV that has two stations, one, two. That was it.
It's actually funny that you brought that up because that was a memory I wanted to talk to you about. As I said, putting together the Time Warp for the 70s brought back a lot of memories of like Fife Street and coming to Hamilton because we lived in Pembroke and Kingston, and we had a short stay in, it was Lahr, right? Germany?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Now, this is a weird question. And when I introduced you, I said that you're probably the one person, or you and Ernie at least would be the one who knew me best back then, because most of my friends date from the 80s and onwards. But you would have known me better then. And what years were we there in Lahr?
We were there the summer of 1970, and we left the summer of 1973.
Okay, so that really brings up my question. When I was going through 70s stuff, I have a recollection, but I would have only been about 4. Were we in Germany during the Munich Olympics?
We were. Yes, we were. But we didn't go.
Yeah. No, I know, but I have a memory of being a 4-year-old and you guys all watching the Olympics, and well, you probably know better to explain what happened. It's the famous incident of the attack at the Olympics.
Yeah, well, I'm not too much of a historian, but from what my recollection is that terrorists had stormed, I think it's the Israeli house where they were staying at the Olympics, and they actually killed a few people at the beginning, and they kidnapped the rest of them. They took them to the airport to try to escape, and then I guess they basically killed the rest of them. I'm not sure. I think it was about 11 people that got killed during that incident. It was
Yeah, and I thought
unfortunate.
about it because I remembered thinking, were we in Germany at that time? Because it, like all the years, and Mike remembers seeing that I have the little mascot dog from the 72 Olympics, which I believe
Yes.
was a Dachshund. So I wanted to
Yes.
ask you
Yes, the
about
blue
that
one.
because, yeah, it had blue with little colors on the side or something, but
Yes.
I gotta find out where that is. I think the tail's missing, but that blows me away to think we were actually in Germany when that was going on.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of my friends went to the Olympics, and I guess they just missed all that excitement because they ended up closing down the games for one day as a memorial. So it to be so close to terrorism is unreal.
Wow. Now, how much older are you than me? I know you're a little bit older. You and Ernie are both like 7 or 8 years, but I always forget just how much.
Yeah. I am about 7 and a bit years older than you, and Ernie was always 2 years more, so I guess he's about 9.5 years.
Okay, so you were born in 61?
Yes.
So what was it like? Because you have memories of Germany. I think my earliest memory is from Germany. And because I have a lot of memories from Germany, but the more I think about them, a lot of the memories I think were you and Ernie and mom and dad talking about them, and I kind of picked them up as my own. But I was way too young at the time. But I think my earliest memory is from Germany, and nobody else was around except my babysitter at the time.
Well, you got to remember when we went to Germany, you were probably just 2, so you wouldn't know much of anything back then. Um, I missed a lot of things are still foggy in my mind. Uh, I just know TV was 2 channels, a lot of records, a lot of drinking from mom and dad. Uh, they had a few friends over. I mean, there was really not much. And I mean, as for traveling, I mean, we went for drives once in a while up into the Black Forest, or we would go to up north to visit some friends up there for a few days, or we'd go down to the Basel Zoo. I don't know if you remember that one. That was later in Germany.
No.
No, you don't remember Basel Zoo? But I remember that. I remember
No.
pulling over the highway because mom had to use the bathroom in the ditch. um, I mean, if there was one thing that I regret is we didn't travel more, because that was kind of our experience. I wish I was a little bit older so I could remember a lot more of it. No, I did go with
Yeah.
mom one more time to East Germany to visit her family, and that was surreal. But when you've got MapQuest now, or Google Maps or whatever, and you can see how far we were from Paris, why didn't we go? It was only an 8-hour drive. But I guess it all comes down to we didn't have much money and things like that. So I think there was a lot of more things we could have
Yeah.
done while
And
we were there.
was dad? Well, we should let people know that we were Army brats. My dad was in the military. And
Sorry,
that's
I
why
didn't
we
get that
traveled
question.
to, we lived in Kingston, Germany. Oh, oh no, I just said we were military brats. Dad, at the beginning of my life, that's why we were in Kingston, and that's why we went to Germany and then
Yes.
Pembroke, and then eventually he got out of the military and came to Hamilton. Is that right? The locations? So I always thought in some ways, was it hard for you moving around so much? Because
Yeah,
it
it's
didn't affect
close.
me
It's
as much,
close.
because I was
I was
starting
born in
school
Pembroke.
right. I was born in Kingston.
Yeah, the hard part
Oh,
was
did I lose
you
you?
couldn't really keep up. Yes, is that? No, I'm still around somewhere. No, the hard part was you couldn't really keep keep up with your friends, because you've got to realize that when you're in Kingston and then Germany, everyone was in the same boat. So your friends would be rotating every 2-3 years too. So I really haven't kept up to date with many of my friends, and some friends were really nice. I did have one from Germany find me though, and I talk to him every once in a while. He's still in Kingston, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I always felt that because Dad would leave for periods of time, right? I remember him disappearing.
Yes, he would go on. Oh, I forgot what they call it, but he'd go away for a month, 2-3 months sometimes on exercise. That's what they called it. And then Mom would be stuck taking care of the three of us while he was gone. And I'm sure that was pretty hard for her too. The things I liked when Germany is that they called, the things I liked was the snowballs. When they'd have the loudspeakers coming through the village at 4 or 5 in the morning saying, "Snowball, snowball." And then Dad had to run out in his full uniform to get to work. Well, we just woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So.
See, that's just a nice memory for you to have. Again, I think most of my memories are from you and Ernie and Mom and Dad talking. And so sometimes I always start a story and I go, actually, I don't know if this is my own memory or I've just made it my own. Yeah, stuff like me having a soother that I refused to give up until I lost it. We lived in a high-rise apartment at one time.
Yes.
And we had a turtle named, we had a turtle named, pardon?
Go ahead. Yes, we had the turtle.
Gagala.
Yes.
And I kind of remember when he was a big turtle, and I remember him trying to like get under the balcony, but he couldn't because his shell was so big.
Yes.
But I don't remember what happened to Gagala. Did we give him away when we came to Canada, I'm guessing?
No, we had hard times and we had turtle soup one day. No, that's not right. No. One day he started laying eggs, which to us, we had no idea. And then right after that, he died. So it was unfortunate.
A sad end. A sad end to Gagala.
Yes. The turtle soup would have probably been better.
That reminds me of the time Mom made lobster and she didn't know you're supposed to put the lobster in the boiling water and had it simmering like so it would build. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, she felt so bad because Dad later told her, no, that's why it was screaming. Yeah, she didn't know you're supposed to kill it in. I don't know where I remember that from, but that was definitely in either Pembroke or it had to be Pembroke because I would have been born in Kingston. So was Pembroke the place that we had all the yards were connected? Like all the houses were connected and we all shared the yard like a giant park? Was that Pembroke?
No, I think, the only thing I think you should remember from Pembroke is when we went to visit there one day, because I was born in Pembroke and then we moved to BC almost immediately after I was born. No, the place you're really talking about is Kingston still, where they had the 4 houses on one side, the 4 houses on the other side, and they had like a big yard where we all played baseball or whatever.
Okay, that makes sense that it was Kingston. And I definitely remember it was 1980. We went to visit Pembroke and stayed with the Herbs.
Yes.
And they
And
owned a little tag and they owned a little cab company and we got to take the taxi everywhere. Not that it was a big town, but
yeah, for nothing. For
yeah,
nothing, but I think we tipped them good every time.
they were there. That was such a nice time. We stayed there for about a week, I think.
Yeah. I remember going to a bar and I met one of our friends, Vicky from Kingston, who didn't know I was in Pembroke, and I didn't know she was in Pembroke. And I remember having a heck of a headache, and I couldn't stay. And it was a good band playing old Cars song. So, but you know, when
Actually, we didn't stay
we
with the
went to, was it Huey and Ellen?
Huey and yes, yeah, Huey, Ellen, and Brian.
Yes,
The
it was
Herbs.
Huey.
When you
Yes,
said
yes,
Vicky,
it
I said, "Oh,
was.
that was Vicky Herbs." Yeah.
The Herbs are in Kingston.
Yes,
Well, we get
yes.
all
Now it's
confused.
coming back to me. Yeah. They were the
But
Herbs and Huey and Ellen were awesome. Sorry, continue your story.
so I lost what I was going to say.
Is it weird that I just think about it that mom and dad were very protective. Mostly mom was very protective of me, but they let you take me to Pembroke in 1980. I would have been 12 years old. Don't you think that's weird? Because they weren't there.
I am trying to think. I know there was one time we went by bus to Pembroke, and I remember that we stopped in Toronto. We wanted to get a book to read, and I brought you into that dirty shop.
Yeah, just walked in and
Everyone was
suddenly
giving
we
us
go.
weird looks.
Yeah, because you would have been 19, I would have been 12, and we walked in and basically suddenly we're seeing like boobs and. Yeah, and I
But I know
remember
there
the
was
owner.
another time but there was another time we went too, and I can't remember that I rented a car and took dad and you too, but I can't remember if that was Pembroke or Kingston.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, that just shows you how exciting that was.
Yeah, I always have great memories of the Pembroke trip though, because us driving around in a free taxi, and I remember the downtown was like 2 blocks or something, and there was a movie theater at the start and the movie theater at the end, and that's pretty much all you knew.
Yeah, yeah. And then going into that, what is it, Kresge's or Kmart,
Yeah, with the
and we had crappy service.
and you left.
So we ended up giving them like penny tips or something.
Yeah, oh, it was horrible. The dishes were dirty. Yeah, everything was bad. And you reached in your pocket and only had like 2 cents or something, and we were laughing and left and said, well, not much else to do.
And you're sitting there telling me, well, why are you tipping if they're so bad? And I go, believe me, this is worse than not tipping.
I also remember getting the Xanadu soundtrack. So that's why I remember it was the summer of 1980, and I got it before it was even released. I think we talked them into selling it to us because it wasn't supposed to be on the market for 2 days
Oh, yes, yes, I
beforehand.
remember that. Yeah.
Because we were looking for it and they said, yeah, it doesn't get released till Tuesday. And you said, well, we're going to be leaving here. Is there any chance we could buy it early? And they actually brought it out from the back and I got to purchase it.
Yeah, I remember
The only
that.
reason
That was pretty cool.
The only reason yeah. And then when it came out to theaters, I remember you and Cheryl had gone seen it. And I was so pissed that you didn't wait for me. But you took me, I think you took me 2 days later of the Sunday matinee, so I got to finally get to live Xanadu.
Yeah, such an excellent movie.
Changed my life in so many ways. No, I don't have any Xanadu back there. There's some Olivia there. You can pretty much tell my love for it.
Yeah, I see the
But
physical album back there.
yeah, it's there. There's always something Olivia-ish there. I'm not even wearing my Xanadu earring today. So. But yeah, some great memories. We were talking at the Time Warp about how you became obsessed with the Hughes Corporation, Rock the Boat, and how you harassed a radio station every day. Why don't you tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that?
Well, like I said, when in '74 when it came out, there was really nothing much to do but listen to the radio. So all summer we were listening to it, and then this song called "Rock the Boat" came out, and I had to hear it every day. So I knew at 4 o'clock every day was the request for the song. So I was on the phone at 4 o'clock every day requesting that song. And I'm pretty sure that they got sick of me from calling. And then I remember one day I called when it was going off the charts, and they go, "Well, we can't play that song now." I go, "No, I got a new one now." And I think it was
What
The
was
Night
that?
Chicago Died. So,
Another
but
great one.
that's right. So that single plus one other one were my first two singles, the 45s. They were the small records for those who don't remember that. That I bought, and that was "Rock the Boat," and the other one was "I'm Leaving It All Up to You," Donnie and Marie.
Nice.
And then that started my singles collection.
Which I played a lot. You let me use it a lot, which was nice of you.
Yep.
My first singles, I bought two the same day. It was in 1978. I bought, showing I was still a kid, I bought Mana Mana by the Muppets. And I bought Last Dance by Donna Summer. Was my first official pop song that I bought because I didn't know if you'd go out and buy it. So I usually waited to see if you'd buy it. And then if you didn't, it's like, I guess I got to spend my money now. I also remember a particular, I don't know if this is okay to say, but I remember you'd let me use your albums because I was always pretty good at putting them back and stuff. And I remember a time finding a funny substance in one of them once. A Tom Petty album.
No, it wasn't a Tom Petty album.
It
was the
sure
most
it was the one with Refugee.
I thought it was a more obscure album than that. I didn't know it was you that found it, though. I thought it was Cheryl that found it.
Oh no, I remember it was weird because I just wanted to hear Refugee, and suddenly a little packet came out, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to put it right back and never speak of this incident until we're on national podcast.
Okay, I have never purchased drugs in my life, except for that
Is this
one
for your
time.
political career?
And the
you're
one
saying
time
this?
I purchased it, that's right. I have not done drugs. And that one time I purchased it was the one time I got caught. That's it. Yeah, so the only time I purchased was the only time I got caught.
Now, did you remember being inspired by music through Mom? Because Mom used to play like polka albums and Bobby Vinton and Tom Jones. Do you remember her playing a lot of music around the house?
Well, I know in Germany, when there wasn't really much to do, the music was very big in the apartment. I mean, I love the Vera Lynn's and like you said, Tom Jones and a lot of country, Hank Williams, and yeah, I guess when you didn't have much to do, it, that was really the only thing you could go to, or the only thing you could understand on TV was the music. And I know I got into a lot of songs like by Sweet and my favorite one was always Butterfly. And you had the Dreimal Neun album that's was a German TV
What
show for
version?
those who don't know. That was kind of like a lottery. Where they had 3 big wheels that had 0 to 9 on it. Sorry? No, Devlin?
Now, one of the things I remember from WUM, and I actually still have some WUM around here. And you remember WUM, right?
Yeah, that was from the Dreimal 9 thing.
Was he part of that show?
Yes. That's where he was introduced.
Right, and I actually had the single, or we had the single. I don't think it was me, but he actually had a hit song, and we played both sides of it in our house.
Yeah. Do you remember the songs? I do.
Ich bin ein kleiner Miezekatze? Or am I mixing the two songs? Ich bin ein kleiner Hund.
Yeah, you're mixing two. That's right. Ich bin ein kleiner Hund. And the other one is Ich wünsche mir ein kleiner Miezekatze. Yes.
Yeah, I used to have little figurines that I had around the house that Mike will put up every once in a while. He didn't know what WUM was, and I actually found him on YouTube. And I desperately tried to find people like who grew up in Germany, and a lot of people don't remember WUM.
Well, I mean, he was only famous for a few years, so you had to be right at the time of when he came out. Otherwise, I think the creator actually passed away not too long after that.
I
do my little I do a little Wikipedia thing. So
I did a little I went to a flea market about 3 years ago, and I actually almost passed out because I actually found a WUM, and it was a bigger one.
Oh, really?
Yes, I want to say it usually is out somewhere, but I don't know where it is. Hold on, just amuse the crowd for a bit.
So I was born a little child in a hospital. Let's look at all the stuff that he's got in the back. Oh, there looks like Mickey Mouse.
So okay. This is WUM.
Oh, there we go.
So I'm looking at this flea market that's got like Ninja Turtles and all the Star Wars stuff, and all of a sudden I see this face, and all I say is WUM, and Mike's like, I actually knew that was WUM from your little figurines that you have everywhere. So there's a blast for the past for you. And
you found it in Canada. That's
and you
amazing.
Been in Germany and yeah, it was at the watered down flea market, the Circle M, or what used to be the Circle M.
Oh, okay, I remember that one.
Now, we were talking about mom and music, and I wanted to mention, I've heard you at karaoke sing The Green, Green Grass of Home, and I have a feeling that's a song that reminds you of mom a lot, because I think when you sang it, you may have even mentioned that this was one of mom's favorite songs.
When we had our karaoke party in Dunnville in 2000, I kind of did my year-end review in song, and the last one I did was in tribute to Mom, who had died just 4 or 5 months before that. And Green Green Grass Home was her favorite song. So I hope I did it justice when I did sing the song, because it was tough to sing.
Yeah. Do you know what song I think of when I think of Mom besides the Green Green Grass of Home? And I don't know if you have this memory, but I will share it with you.
Go ahead.
In the Navy by the Village People.
Yes, she loved that song.
She actually had the album, and I remember her playing it at high decibels when she vacuumed. I tell people, Green Green Grass of Home, in the Navy, I always have a moment and, you know, say hi to Mom.
That's a big span of music there.
Now, you went to a lot of concerts. You mentioned a couple of them when we watched the Time Warp, but you actually took me to my first concert. Do you remember the year, the person, and the place?
Okay. I know it's a trick question because I know it's Olivia.
Yes, it was supposed to be Sheena Easton, but we couldn't get tickets to her.
Yes, and I know it was at the C&E. The year would have been tougher. 1984?
1982.
Oh, was it the same year as when Physical came out? Okay. Okay. Physical came out in 81.
Right, but she was doing the Physical tour. And I don't know if you remember this, but because I'm a big Olivia fan, she actually said, tonight I'm going to premiere my new single, which was a little song called Heart Attack. Yes.
Yes, I remember that.
And so, yeah. And that was, and originally you did try to get me tickets to Sheena Easton, who was just starting at that time, but she sold out in Hamilton Place, and I was so disappointed. And then that led to Olivia being my very first concert.
So was that a good thing that I got you onto Olivia rather than Sheena Easton? Since Olivia's still relevant now?
Thank you very much. Absolutely. you know, Olivia still plays a big part in my life and stuff. So to have Olivia be my first concert, and in return, Mike got to see Olivia for the first time. That was his first concert when we went to Casino Rama to see her.
Oh, that's right. We did go to Rama to see her too.
Yeah, we saw her a couple of times and stuff. So, but yeah, you were pretty much there.
I believe
for pretty much every concert.
We went to Canandaigua in the States to see her too.
Yes, that was just after Mom died.
Yes.
Because we toyed with.
We stayed overnight, didn't we?
We did. And we weren't sure if we should go. And then we all talked about it and said that we should go because we had the tickets and it was just, we needed something positive in our life at that time.
Yes.
Now, one of the concerts that we went to, and we went to a lot, but one of our most memorable was probably Bruce Springsteen, where we waited out in line for overnight to get tickets and wound up in a riot? Mob? I don't know what you'd call it.
Mob would be a good one. It was like one of those where they faked everybody out by opening up the box office windows, and everyone just started crushing towards the barriers.
And we were there overnight. We went to the Blue Jay game, and then we stood in line for the next day because it was for the, Born in the USA tour. So Bruce was at the top of his game, and it was a fun night until 6 in the morning. Like, as you said, they opened up the box office and it was chaos.
Yeah, I remember we made a bunch of friends that night, and we had a lot of fun. I don't think there was much sleeping. Um,
I remember we got
I know
separated at one time.
yes, when
And
everything came down, you were in one corner, I was in another corner, and I think Cheryl ended up underneath the crowd, and they actually pushed her over the barrier, and that's the reason why we got tickets.
that's, yeah, because it was, and I recall that incident led to them kind of finding new ways to sell tickets because they said we can't have this anymore. You actually had to go get oxygen at one of the ambulances, I believe.
I actually had to go to the ambulance bus and get oxygen because I was overcome by the heat. You remember that was in the summer, right?
Right. And I remember also falling into the crowd a couple of times, but luckily we had made friends in the lineup, and I was with this tall guy, and he would constantly make sure that I would not fall into the crowd because, again, I was a teenager at the time. So
My my memory of that day was at the night when I was kind of sleeping and or trying to sleep anyhow, and this guy's girlfriend is trying to sleep with me, and she's got her ass in my face, and I kind of remember that this chick wasn't wearing any underwear, so I was getting like a nice little peek from her. And then once we all got up and we were moving on there, we were so close together that I guess my arm was touching her boob, and she's saying, "Would you mind?" And the first thing I should have said is, "Hey, look, I just saw your snatch the whole night, so touching your boob is should be nothing now." But I mean, I said, you tell these other people to let up, I'll move my arm. What can you do? But that was one of the memories that I never told you guys.
no,
But since
well,
I don't
yeah,
think we'll
with
see these
Cheryl
guys
there, I'm
again, I
not
don't think she'll
surprised.
mind.
No, and we didn't,
But
and
so
I remember when we left the C&E that day, we were like, I don't know even know if I want to go to this concert anymore. And I'm glad we did because it was an amazing concert. I started understanding why people like to see Bruce in concert.
yeah, because they only gave us um, a limit of 8 tickets to buy. Um, and there was 3 of us, we were going to buy 24 tickets.
Yeah.
But once Cheryl got through, we just basically bailed out and said, you know what, not worth it. So we got just the 8 tickets,
No.
but we found out afterwards that they were going to let her buy 24 tickets, but she didn't have the money with her. So when we
Now,
decided
are
we were just going to give 8 tickets, and then we decided, we're going to go. Screw everyone else.
now were you also in the infamous Alice Cooper C&E not showing up riot?
I was. Yeah, that was a
Tell
fun
us a little bit
time
about
too.
that.
Well, I can't even remember who the opening act was. I mean, it was really good and all that. And then we're all waiting there, and it got to 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, no announcements, no nothing. And then finally somebody came on stage saying, "Sorry, no show tonight." And the crowd went ballistics. They were throwing chairs onto the stage. They were rushing the stage and everything. I was there with uh, Steve, and I think the other Steve was there too, and I can't remember everyone. And all of a sudden, the riot horses came towards us to try to get us out of the stadium, and so we start walking up, no problem. And then Big Steve decides to start walking back. I go, "Where the hell are you going? Everyone's running this way. You're going the wrong way." He goes, but I left my stuff down there. And I go, it's only cigarettes. He goes, no, it's the pot. That was
That's
funny too.
awesome.
But he got it. He got it. And we just waited around the corner until he came back up because they were just jamming this place. It was unreal. But years later, Steve and I did eventually go back to see him, and it was a good show when he played in Hamilton.
Now as I said, you took me to a lot of concerts growing up, and we've seen everybody from like Boston to Britney Spears to like just about everybody. But I'm going to mention one particular concert that I hope you have as good memories of it as I do, because we accidentally got these tickets.
Uh-oh.
And then what happened was we had great seats, everything was fine. And I rank this as one of my favorite concerts of all time. Do you remember when we went to see Kenny Rogers?
The minute you said we had great seats for it, I knew that was the concert you were going to talk about. Yes, I do remember. Cheryl actually was paid from her work to go get tickets for her boss to go see Kenny Rogers. And that's at the time we decided, or she decided, oh, we're gonna get a couple tickets for us too. And so we ended up getting, I think it was second row for this. And her boss ended up was it first row?
It was first row. I think I've only been in a couple times first row.
And her boss, she ended up getting tickets halfway up the stands because he wanted 4 tickets, and Cheryl only bought 2. And then Cheryl decided she didn't want to go, and then it was you and me that went, and that was a good night. I enjoyed it. He put on a great show.
Yeah. Because we were like thinking, well, we like Kenny Rogers. He has good music, but I couldn't believe how entertaining he was. Like as between the songs, he was just hilarious, and he was so Kenny. Like he had an opening act, and then he told us that he actually has a second opening act because he found out the Oak Ridge Boys were playing at in Buffalo and called and said, "Hey, you want to do a set?" And so we found out that night that we were going to see the Oak Ridge Boys. But
That's right. I remember that.
He was no nonsense, and he was just so hilarious. And the second concert I have to mention, because I am so glad I was with somebody who was there, and you know what it is, because it was the best Christmas concert we could have ever asked for.
Christmas concert. Now I'm trying to remember who it is.
Mary is
I can't think of it. Oh, that's why I didn't remember that one. The old Bonnie M.
Bonnie M, the infamous Let's Sing to a Disc Christmas concert that had everybody leaving.
By the rivers of Babylon. Got that song on my brain now.
Oh my God, yeah. I couldn't listen to that song for the longest time because that's all they kept singing. Yeah, we went to see Boney M, their first ever tour in Ontario, and they came to Hamilton first at this little club downtown. And we decided it'd be a kick to see it because it was billed as the Christmas show. And Paul and I grew up with the Boney M Christmas album. And so we thought it'd be a kick. And the lead singer was drunk. He was belligerent. He told people, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, go fuck yourself. And this was a Christmas show where people were yelling, just sing. And I remember the first thing we noticed was there's no instruments, and they literally sang to a CD.
Yes. I think we got to see Rasputin once. I think he sang Brown Girl in the Ring, and we heard Rivers of Babylon about 10 times.
Yes. And that show was one of the first at that club, and they basically had to give all the money back and phoned all the other venues to say, don't have Boney M on your.
Yeah,
But I,
I think a lot of people were thinking about suing.
yeah. Well, the people that were with us all left. Cheryl waited in the car, but
Yeah.
you and I refused to go because we had tears running down our eyes, thinking this is the greatest thing we had ever seen, and we
It's so
wanted to
funny.
stay right to the end to make sure. It's the one concert. If you asked me if you had a video of one concert that you went to, I think I'd want this because I don't think people tell me just how. Believe me when I tell them how bad it was.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to go on YouTube now. I'm going to check out to see if someone actually taped that.
Uh,
That was hilarious.
It was. Now, I want to go back to when we grew up on Fife Street. Whenever I watch that TV show, The 70s Show, I always think of you and your group of friends because of that, because you had a really great group of friends growing up there.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we
And
did a lot of things together. Yeah.
I could tell that because you traveled so much, and this was finally going to be our home for a little while, that you guys really clicked with them. And I think you still, kind of stay in touch with them a little bit.
I've got them all on Facebook. Can't say I talk to them a lot, but yeah, I still kind of talk to them a little bit. I mean, I was so surprised when we had our stag and doe that I had Steve and Brian and Harold show up, and that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. And yeah, Fife Street was just a magical time. I've reconnected with just a couple of people recently from there, but not as much as I would like to have. But it just happens, people lives get busy, we move around and stuff. Um, when I look back, I probably spent more time on Cannon than I did on Fife Street, but it was just a magical moment in time. And whenever I see a show like that 70s show, it reminds me of the fashions, how the kids looked and stuff, and it was kind of nice.
What my moo that I always wore?
Yeah, we were is that what they were called? Because we used to
I think
wear,
that was called a moo.
and I started wearing. I had like it was an African shirt, right?
Yeah, yeah, or something. A
I thought
dress.
a
I don't know.
muumuu was kind of a dress. This was just a really big floppy shirt. I still wish I had at times or had a picture, but I've gone through the pictures lately, and I don't think we were ever photographed with our muumuus, as you call them.
I think your only shot of trying to find a picture of it, which you'll probably never see again, is on the videos.
Ah, yes. Well, the videos are still around, but I don't
I
know if
don't know if they are now. I mean, I tried to ask Cheryl before she moved out of there, and she said she never saw them. So
oh,
I have a feeling they might be gone. I know they were up in our in our attic at the cafe.
yeah, it's weird going through old pictures and stuff like that because it just brings back so many memories and bad fashions and stuff. Do you look back at your high school years or anything like that? Because your high school years were different than mine. We went to different high schools.
Yeah, no, to me, high school wasn't really a big deal to me. I mean, I got bullied quite a lot in high school by a few guys because I would go around with my briefcase with all my books rather than leaving them in the locker. So I guess I was stereotyped as a geek or something.
Now, was
Um,
you went to Sir John A. Macdonald, and that considered a tough school at the time?
I don't know if it was a tough school. I know a lot of drugs at that school.
Well, I went to Scott Park, and I remember Mom heard stories that, you didn't have a Scott Park High School dance without the cops showing up looking for drugs. But I was such a a wimp in high school. I never saw any of that stuff, but Scott Park was considered to be really bad for drugs as well back in the 80s.
Well, I didn't go to too many of the dances, not until my last year, and I don't recall the cops ever showing up, but who knows? Maybe after the fact.
I never went to a high school dance. The only dance I ever went to was one in grade 8. I didn't even go to my graduation. I just wasn't comfortable. And even grade,
Well, you got screwed out of your grad because the teachers were on strike, right?
I don't know. Is that
I
why?
think you're. I think the teachers were on strike and they canceled your grad.
No.
And unless they had something after the fact, which I don't know about, I'm not sure.
They
But I
might have
know
had.
that you lost
Hmm.
like 3 or 4 months or something for that strike. That's
Is
before they
there-
said teachers were essential.
Yes. Oh yeah, they were on strike a couple times, I remember, during the time I went to school and stuff like that. Are you more endeared to the 70s or the 80s?
I'm kind of I'm kind of halfway between the end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s, I would say, because 70s I was still in school. I graduated in 79, and then once the 80s became the time of the booze and the alcohol and all that. So I went to a few of the video clubs. Like I remember going to Mulligan's, and basically it was a video clubs where they just played music videos instead of a DJ, right? So I'd say between 74 and maybe 85 is probably my prime years.
Yeah, they always say between the ages of 12 and 20 is pretty much where you get your musical side or your most nostalgic. So if you do the math, that's pretty close to probably where you were at that time, maybe even earlier. I think because
Yeah,
I had I think because I had two older brothers, that's why I'm kind of endeared to both decades, but technically I grew up in the 80s, but I still get very nostalgic for the 70s. And as I said, I remember you guys always playing music. Ernie liked to listen to his country, his old school country, like Merle Haggard and even early Olivia Newton-John before I was even
I
into
was
her. I
just going to
remember.
say, I think that's where you picked up Olivia because he liked Olivia when she was in her country genre.
Yeah, and I didn't get into her country music till after. I think when we were getting ready to go to the concert, that's when I started picking up her greatest hits from the past. And then I was like, oh, I knew this song from the radio, but I didn't know it was her and stuff like that. But yeah, it's interesting to think of that and stuff because I know. Now, I also remember like Ernie wouldn't have been that much, like you said, 2 years older, but I remember him going to like dance clubs with like big elevator shoes and stuff. You remember this?
Yes. Yeah, I remember his elevator shoes and everything.
And I don't think he liked
Um,
disco. I
it's
think he liked getting laid.
I I hope he's not going to watch this podcast, but I think you're right.
I probably would tell him that now because I think he just did it because that's what you did. But to me, I can't remember Ernie ever really. The only song I remember Ernie really being into, like he also liked doo-wop groups. I remember him listening to like Rock and Robin and stuff. But I
Yeah, yeah.
remember he got obsessed with Madonna's Like a Prayer, and I thought it was such a weird song for Ernie to be obsessed by.
Yeah, that's
But
kind of big opposites to what he is. Yeah,
now, I when we
at that
talked to
time.
Lori, I know you watched that episode, and we mentioned you were a big Barry Manilow fan, and how Barry has linked a whole bunch of us together in some ways. How did you get into Barry Manilow? Like, what was it about Barry that you related to?
Well, it's funny when when I did my listening in the summer and everything, I got hypnotized to the very first song I heard him sing, and that was "It's a Miracle." And then I kind of liked that song, and then the next song that I heard was "Could It Be Magic?" And then after that, I heard "I Write the Songs," and things kind of started like that. And then I don't know if you remember, I every year end when they had the CKOC Top 100 of the year, I would take
Yes.
the singles and I'd say, hey, I've got that single, and I'd say, oh, this was number 20 in 1975, and I'd write on the record. And then
Yeah, I
all of a
remember
sudden
that. Yeah.
they go, and now, yeah, and then I'm listening, and all of a sudden, and the number 7 song is by Barry Manilow, and I'm sitting there going, I've marked off all the Barry Manilow songs. So what song is this that I missed? And they said, and it's Mandy. And I go, so I actually knew the other songs before I actually heard Mandy. And that just kind of reeled me in even more. And I guess you can say the rest is history. I picked up every single by him for quite a while, every album for quite a while. I think I stopped when that when October grows, Paradise Cafe. I kind of that's a little out of my thing, but everything right up to that, I had every album, every single, and
And you saw him
the
many
rest is
times.
history. Oh, 1 or 2 times.
Oh, I thought you went more. Oh.
I did.
The first
I
song
mean, I was just going to say, I've seen him in Florida. I've seen him in Cleveland. I've seen him in Milwaukee. I've seen him in Chicago, many times in Toronto. And
Yes.
Buffalo. Can't forget Buffalo. Canandaigua, we saw him there. So I've seen a few of his shows.
Yeah, I went to see him with you. I believe it was the Swing Street tour that I went to see. Canada's Wonderland at the Kingswood, bringing back old memories for those of you who remember the concert stage at Canada's Wonderland. The first song I remember becoming really endeared with, and as I said, back in those days, you played a lot of music, whether it was the radio or when you started buying 45s and albums, I remember Could It Be Magic? And I remember the awesomeness of it because I think it was very different than all the other stuff on the radio because there was that instrumental part at the beginning that was kind of based on a classical piece.
Yeah, by Chopin.
Yeah.
Some interlude in something. But yeah, for everything that was on the radio, for someone to have the balls to start a song with a classical song that goes into this nice love song, it was unheard of. So yeah, he took a chance, and actually that song was actually his very first single off of his first album, but the first album didn't do too well. So then when he released the second one, he released Mandy, which was based on a song by, I think his name is Scott English. And the original song was called Brandy. But because there was another song on the radio called Brandy, the Looking Glass, You're a Fine Girl.
Yes.
They switched it up and they changed it to Mandy. And then once Mandy and It's a Miracle took off, then they decided to re-release the first album with a different cover and everything. And that's when they re-released Could It Be Magic, and it was a hit. So there's actually 2 covers for the first album. And I've got both of them.
Got flack. You got a lot of flack from your friends later in the 70s because they were more into rock and stuff.
I get into flack nowadays, still being about it. Although now that they're a little bit older, now they can appreciate it a little bit more.
Well, yeah, I think they do, and I think Barry has become one of those people like not Neil Sedaka, Neil Diamond, who's basically people have come to realize he's actually really great at what he does. And I look back at his catalog, and I just think it's amazing some of the music. Even like I know I'm a Barry fan because a lot of the songs I liked were not necessarily his biggest hits or were even singles at all. And I love putting on some Barry Manilow, and I just thank you for introducing me to him. One of the many musical things that you did for me.
Well, you're welcome. I'm the same way though. I like a lot of Barry's stuff that weren't big hits, and like I told you at one of your dance parties, or no, I told you on after Lori's interview about, I actually have like 250 songs on Spotify that's a Barry Manilow playlist. Every song you can think of. I've got his Japanese song. I've got obscure ones that no one's ever heard. Some I didn't even think you could find on Spotify. So every
I
once in a
know
while,
being a
it's got to
fan
go
like
on
of
in the car.
Olivia, I know being a fan of Olivia, it's hard to pick, but if you had to pick a favorite Barry Manilow song, what would it be? If you could only listen to one Barry Manilow song before you died, like if they
Wow.
told you you only got one more to listen to.
Wow. That's a good one because
Yeah,
he's
it's
got
tough.
so many
I
good
know.
songs. I, I would say my most favorite would be the song he did from Copacabana called Who Needs to Dream,
Oh, wow.
because
That's a rarity.
oh, there you go. I went really deep on that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
But that is such
No, that's a
a
good.
great love song that no one knows about, that no one knows about. And I encourage that if you like Barry or kind of have an ink, it's a really nice song.
I'll put you also on the spot for a couple other Barry Manilow questions. Is there a song that you didn't really enjoy when it first came out, or you thought it was just and as you grow older, you've actually come to respect that song or have a new appreciation for it?
The song I don't know if I still appreciate it, but the song I am not a big fan of is actually Copacabana.
Really? Why is that?
I think the reason why is because I think it got overplayed too much. I don't know. I'll even mention it when it comes on the radio or someone sings it or whatnot. Saying don't like that song. So yeah, no, that's not my favorite one. One that I didn't like that I appreciate now. I don't know. I can't answer that one because they're all good songs. Other than Copacabana, I really.
I My favorite Barry song, I have so many that are close, but if I had to like be forced to pick one, as much as I love Could It Be Magic, I actually think I love Ready to Take a Chance Again. Because it actually makes me cry sometimes when it comes on, because it's such a
Oh
positive
yeah.
song. Yeah, and a song that and people probably won't know this one, but I remember when it first came out, I thought, it's nothing. And I don't even think it was released as a single. And I love it now. Is Please Don't Be Scared. Was that a
It
single?
was it was it was released as a single, but he was so far into his I guess downswing that not a lot of radio stations picked it up. But it was a very, very small hit.
Yeah. And
But the one,
when I
but
first, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but the single before that is another one of my favorites, called "Keep Each Other Warm."
Yeah, no,
I like
yeah,
that
that's a
one,
good one too. Yeah.
and I've actually heard the original version because I think it's called Buck Fizz, where the original uh, recording of that song they're in England.
I laugh at that.
And
I laugh at that because Mike introduced me to Buck Fizz, and they were a really poppy group of the 70s. And any music we play on Hip FM with Buck Fizz is because of Mike.
yeah, I only know of "Keep Each Other Warm." I've never heard any of their other songs. I know they're very big,
I believe their
but I
big
never.
hit wasn't a big hit over here. It was called like Making Your Mind Up or something like that. But it's a cool poppy song, but I don't think it hit anywhere. But Mike is really big in like UK pop too. So from the old days.
Well, that comes down to the Germany days too, because you there's so many songs that were big hits when we were in Germany, but they were nothings over on this side of the ocean. And every once in a while, I like to listen to some of those songs. Like I mentioned at the beginning that Sweet had a lot of good songs. Now, the first song that everybody knows on this side of the ocean was um, Little Willie.
Ballroom Blitz.
Yeah, Ballroom Blitz was later on, but I think their first one was Little Willie. But before Little Willie, they had like Coco, they had Wig Wham Bam, Blockbuster, Papa Joe. Some more songs. If you like Sweet, some more songs to look up on YouTube.
Yeah, we definitely have a good selection of Sweet songs, and I always thought they were just Little Willie, Ballroom Blitz, and Fox on the Run. Oh, Love is Like Oxygen.
Love is Like
Their
Oxygen.
ballad.
Yes.
I almost
But see
forget that
what it was.
because it's so different.
Okay, here's your history on Sweet here. When Sweet first came up, and if you look at some of their older videos from those other songs I mentioned, they were all corny and all that. So they were brought up like being a, what is it, kind of like a, I can't think of what type of music it is, but it's like a joke thing. So they do all these joke songs and whatnot. Novelty, that's a good word.
Yeah.
And then they decided I think after Ballroom Blitz, they said, no, we want to do our stuff. So they broke off and
Yeah.
started doing their stuff. And that's when Love is Like Oxygen and Fox on the Run came out, which was a little bit way from what they were used to. So there's your Sweet history. Wikipedia has been my friend too.
We're going to wrap up in a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about something else. But before we leave music and records and stuff, I'm going to actually look something up that I found the other day. So bear with me. But I wanted to just play it live for you. I hope you'll be able to hear this. I'm going to play it off YouTube, but I found this. And I want to see what your reaction, or if you remember this, because I remember, I don't know how we got this album, but I played it ad nauseum, and I wanted to see if you remember it. I've actually looked for this album so many times on YouTube, and I could never find it. And guess what? This weekend I actually found it, and I hope I can find it now. If not, I'm just kind of wasting my time here, and so far
Rambling.
I'm not doing so well. Yes. Oh my God. Anyhow, let me see one more time. I can't remember.
I've looked on YouTube so many times, and I'd sit there and I'd find this song and I'd love it. And then when I go to look again, it's gone. Because the copyrights
I
got
tried
hold
to
of it.
I try to send you stuff when I find stuff that I can't. And oh my God, I should have lagged it because I can't remember the name of the artist now. So I'm going into double jeopardy here.
I remember when you sent me in My Father's Footsteps by Terry Jacks.
Oh,
I
because
remember
we
you
were
sending me
both
that
looking
one.
for that one.
And I found it. I found it on Spotify. So it's on my
Did you?
playlist again. Yep. And then I know one time in the car I surprised you when I had Rosetta Stone's Hiding from Love.
Hiding for Love. Yes, because that was another one that I had trouble finding. I actually think I have it here. I'm just having trouble with the name. I don't even think this will be worth it, but I think it'll make you smile if you remember it. If you remember it, I'm saying. Okay, how do I?
Oh, we're going that
okay,
far.
this will help. Well, yeah, I'm like cutting and pasting, and I'm having troubles with the spelling. I think this is one of those things I need the exact spelling in order to find it. Oh, yeah, okay, you ready? I hope you can hear this. I'm going to turn up my mic and that. Let's see if this brings back any memories from you. And I'm going to try to quickly go to Zoom so I can see your reaction. I'm glad we have this is the one time I'm glad we have a lull. Does this
from a peanut? You use a low stool.
Oh, those jokes that were on a radio. I forgot what they're called, but a radio station would play them every morning. They'd play 2 or 3 of those, and then they found the record, and then they bought the whole record, and every 2 minutes.
You know what? I have always told Mike about this album. Did we buy it or did we win this from a record?
Would we go out and buy this? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Did we win this at the radio station?
All I know is that CKWS in Kingston at the same time every day would play like 2 or like one section. So it was like 2 or 3 of these dumb jokes.
Really bad
starting. And I can't see us going out to buy it, so we must have won it.
I used to play this ad nauseam. I love this album.
I played it too, but the jokes were so corny.
Yeah, and you know what? I listened to it so much, but I couldn't remember the jokes. But I always remember that. By the way, that was by, I think his name's Al Bolinska. It's called The World's Worst Jokes. If you want to go to YouTube, they have the whole album there. I have constantly looked for this, and after I was in my time warp thing, I had to go look one more time, and I actually found it, and I was like, oh my God. And I had told Mike about this so much, and now he got to finally hear that. But so there you go, Wom and that album, some memories there for you. I know you're secretly going to go listen to that tonight.
Oh, probably. I listen to them every once in a while.
How much is your split piece soup? 2 cents. How much is your split piece soup? 1 cent. You know, dad jokes now, basically.
1 cent.
Now, one of the things,
yeah, and then they have that stupid laugh trap.
Yes, yes, with the turn it up, turn the volume up and stuff. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you have a memory of that, because this is something that you could have easily just wanted to get out of your head.
Yeah, and you just threw it right back in there.
Yes, of course, that's what little brothers do. One of the best memories I have of our youth is when you used to take me to the drive-in all the time. And I loved how I used to go to the drive-in with you, because that's the only way Mom and Dad would let you and Cheryl go to the drive-in, is if you took their little brothers.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. That's all you can say.
No, no,
As
no,
I
no,
said, we
no,
had
no,
the
no.
age. Yeah, no, as I said, we had the age difference. So it's like they were teenagers. So it's like the only way you're going is if Brian and Donnie go with you. And we'd always
And
sit
then
in the
we'd throw you
front.
to
And
the
then we,
front seat. Yes.
right. And we'd wonder why the windows were always steaming up. But I remember, now I know you don't have as much love for the drive-in. Like I still am obsessed with the drive-in. I'll talk about it any chance I get. Even when I go to the drive-in, the very few times that I do, I just love everything about it. You'd be shocked at the amount of times I actually put intermission shorts in between my movies at home. Do you have any really good
Yes.
memories of drive-in that like we went through? Because we had a couple of weird situations that happened at the drive-in a couple times, if you recall.
Oh, if you're talking from a movie standpoint, no. If you're talking about a situation point, yeah,
Yes,
I
yeah,
remember
that's
the time when I was in it was we were in the back seat and I'd lost my keys and we had to rip the car apart to try to find these keys. We were the last car out of the lot until we finally found my keys. That was fun and
yes, that
embarrassing.
is, yeah, that was one of the memories I was definitely thinking of. Another memory I had was I remember it was so foggy one time we actually couldn't see the movie, and we
Oh
actually
yes.
turned on the radio and we actually talked. We just talked, and then they said, "Okay, we'll give you another, like ticket. You can come back another night." But I always thought it was really nice because I think it was like just me, you, and Yuna at the time,
Yes, it
and we
was.
just had a nice conversation, and it was kind of nice, and I didn't care. And it was a Cheech and Chong movie, I think, that was fogged out.
Yeah, up in smog. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But and then another time I remember is when we went to see, I believe it was Flash Gordon at the drive-in. Do you remember it was me, or one of the rare times that it wasn't Cheryl and Brian, but we went with your friends, and we had a whole carload of people, and there was a particular song that was really popular at the time that we just played on your little cassette, and we just kept rewinding it, and I learned a very big song that night. Do you remember what that was?
No, I don't remember that
Do you
song.
remember that little cassette player that you had that you screwed in on the your first car, and we could just
Yes.
pop cassettes in? And there was a song that I was introduced to, and probably words, and we just listened to this song all night. And it was a little song by a group called Showdown.
Oh, the rodeo show, the rodeo song.
Yes. And I remember it was just rewind, 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 and hey, it's 40 below and I don't give a fuck. I have a fond memory of that song because we heard it on the way there, on the way back. One of the not nice times that we were coming back from the drive-in, do you remember when we were almost in a very bad accident? A car, luckily it was
Kind of.
after the drive. Yeah, we actually were in a little bit of a spin, and you actually, it was right near Dundurn, but we were on the highway part of it, and luckily there weren't any cars there, and then you sped up to find the guy, and somebody else had pulled him over because he spun them out too, and that was by all those graveyards at
When he was cutting everybody off. I
right.
Yeah, I think I
And you,
blocked that one out, but now that you
yeah,
mention it, I kind of remember it.
and you stopped because of the fact that you wanted to watch to make sure, like, if the guy was gonna get in trouble in that, but this other guy was taking care of it and stuff, and we were good. But so since you don't remember that night, the reason I remember it, do you actually remember the song that was playing when we were in the spin?
No?
Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin.
Oh, nice.
That's why I remember that,
Talk
because
about a
I
little bit of
literally
irony, yeah.
Yeah, I literally thought we were dead that night because luckily you got control of the car and we were fine. And it was lucky that there was nobody else on the road. But I just wanted to see if you remembered that night because it was, yeah, it stuck with
Yeah,
me.
no, I blocked that night. Yeah, I blocked that out right away.
Yeah. Anyhow, we're going to wrap things up, but I'm going to leave you with a trivia question about Hamilton.
Okay.
Okay. Back
right.
in the day when you took me to the drive-in, we had 3 drive-ins in the area. Do you remember them all?
Wow. Well, we still have the Starlight that's still operating, right?
Right, that's up the mountain. And they have 3 screens, but they didn't originally. But
No,
we
it's
had
only one.
right, we had 2 others.
Then the one where the Walmart is in Waterdown was the Clapison.
Right, Clapison Corners, the Clapison Drive-In. Yep, you've got 2.
And I think the other one was just called Hamilton Drive-In, and that was the one on Stone Church around Garth.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got them all. And we went to all 3 of them and saw many different movies. And yeah, it gave my love for the drive-in. So thank you for that too, because yeah, I
Yeah.
still have such great memories. I remember so many things. I can sometimes even remember the movies we were seeing when weird things were happening.
Yeah, I can tell you, I haven't been to a drive-in in years. I think the last drive-in we went to was in Font Hill for that whatever they call the Cineplex 4 or something, where they had the 4 screens out in
Okay,
Font Hill. I think you went
that's
with
right.
us.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've been to that. That was the one that would made that was all over the news because the movie Twister was playing, and a twister actually hit one of the screens, and one of the scenes in Twister is a drive-in getting hit with a twister.
And we were in Florida at the time, and we read that in their newspaper in Florida. That's how much news it got.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I have so many great memories of that, and just great memories of all the stuff you and I had done through the years and stuff. We'll have to definitely have you over. There's still so much we could hit and talk about, but we should call it a wrap right now. But I thank you so much
All
for
right.
coming today. I hope you had a good time.
It was a pleasure doing this. I really enjoyed it. You brought me down memory lane, and a lot of things I remember, a lot of things you remind me of. So no, thank you very much. Thank you to Corda for setting this up.
No
It
problem.
was very very
And
good. Oh, a
I'm
voice.
I'm trying to, yeah, the voice. I'm trying to figure out what you're going to go listen to later tonight. The world's worst jokes or In the Navy to remember mom?
I would probably say In the Navy.
All right, Paul, thank you very much for doing this. It's a pleasure, and we will talk to you very soon.
Okay, thank you, Devlin, and we'll see you at your next video party, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I will bring Corda back up as we say goodbye to my brother, and we will say our, now we find out if Corda's actually
There I am.
listening.
Yeah, I was listening.
Watching something else.
Well, she answered once.
Well, I
Yes, there you
muted myself
go.
a lot, so it would be
Anyhow,
less lag. It was fun.
yeah, well, no, it worked out good. We still had the lag, but I think we learned how to work with it and stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Corda, and thank you for all for watching this. And tune in next week. We should have another guest next week as well, and we'll definitely have Paul back on because, as I said, he remembers things that a lot of people in my life don't. So it's great. Anyhow, good night.
Good night.